So you're saying that there is no intelligence that you chose not to pass up to him?
I'm sure there were tons of pieces of intelligence I didn't pass up to him because it wasn't worth his attention. Just as, the farther you go down in the bureaucracy, the more intelligence people see, and presumably it gets filtered up. The complaint about me by some of the people in the intelligence community was I kept reading too much.
If I, let us say, hypothetically, didn't believe you, if I believed that you were withholding information from me, is there any justification on earth for me tying you to a board, tipping you backwards, putting a hood over your head and pouring water on you?
Look, the question of what happened at Abu Ghraib is a question that will bedevil America for years. Much of it was conducted by a unit that was out of discipline and out of training, and people were prosecuted for it. The question of interrogation methods used by the United States was argued by lawyers up and down across the board. I played no role in it.
No, I'm not suggesting you did. What I'm asking you is there any justification for it?
I think it depends on the circumstances, frankly. But
so that's a yes?
No, it's not a yes. It depends on the circumstances. This is not something I have carefully studied, and as a lawyer, I don't give gratuitous opinions on subjects that I don't carefully study.
But forgive me, if you say it depends on the circumstances, that inevitably suggests that you can conceive of circumstances in which that behavior can be countenanced. And talking about lawyers who have studied it, Philippe Sands, whose book Torture Team is being discussed here later, has traced the approval of such practices all the way to the very top of the American administration.
I said it once, so I'll just repeat myself. I don't opine on things that I haven't studied. It strikes me as a complex and difficult question. It's obviously one the United States has taken a lot of grief on, which I think is to be regretted. But I'm not going to go any further because I don't think I've done the preparation that I would need to do to give a lawyer's answer, and I'm just not going to do it. I haven't done it. Let me just say I'm not resisting it here today alone. I have not opined on this at all, and I don't intend to until such time, if ever, when I study it to my satisfaction.
Do you have an opinion on extreme rendition?
That's also not a subject that I've studied, but I can tell you within the U.S. government, if you don't think this hasn't been lawyered to death, you're mistaken. But I'm just, I didn't participate in decisions about extreme rendition, whatever that is, and I don't feel, therefore, that I'm any more competent to give you an opinion on it today than an opinion on the latest ramifications of the rule against perpetuities.
Forgive me for my slight anxiety about this, but you have served as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Is it really conceivable that you have never seriously considered the issues either of torture or extreme rendition?
Well, of course I've thought about them, but they didn't come up in the United Nations. They were not part of my responsibility. And I'm not, I've told you before, my view of when I render an opinion on something comes after I've studied it. And I have not studied it sufficiently, to my mind, and therefore I don't opine gratuitously.
Can you understand how I find that slightly disappointing?
I don't care whether you find it disappointing or not. I adhere to my standards intellectually, not yours.
Yes. Can I ask you then,
what other standard should I? Why should I adhere to yours?
I'm assuming that since it is a major concern for the country which you have served, and that you are supposedly one of its right-wing intellectuals who has defined for many people the case for your country abroad, that you would have something to say about a matter which obsesses people outside your country. Does it concern you?
You could ask me about the American healthcare system as well, and I'd tell you the same thing. I have not thought deeply about every subject. I have thought more deeply about some subjects than others. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. That's what I do in my work at the American Enterprise Institute. But my work does not cover everything. That's a fact.
Okay, I'm not so concerned with the American healthcare system, but could you tell me again about
A lot of Americans are.
Yeah, we're in Wales.